the only insults that hurt are the ones we believe. Next time someone insults you, remember, they're going to die. Everyone will forget about them. And if no one will remember them, then you might as well forget about them now. They are irrelevant. Your dream, your actions, your outcomes.
So now you know what the inside of my head looks like. I mean, I put almost everything immediately to death. And that's like, maybe it's a coping mechanism, maybe it's a perspective mechanism. But like, you want to hear, I was really strongly considering having a parody tweet profile of my own that I also run, that no one would know that I run, that is just like all my very, very controversial beliefs. But I'll throw a taster out now. Murder is just picking when someone dies. So it's like, if you hate someone, it's like, you can just look at them and be like, oh, you're going to die eventually. But like, and so like the idea is like, in your mind, you could murder every enemy you have. You just don't get to pick the time. But I just find that such a, like, murder only changes when, not that someone's going to die. And so if you think about like retribution on someone's like, this person said this thing to me, I want to kill him. It's like, oh no, you don't even have to. They'll die. They're going to die already. Like, you don't even have to, like, don't worry about it. They're going to die. And so it sounds so silly, but just connecting those two dots, I was like, wow, that's incredibly peace-giving. So like, why have a vendetta when life will take care of them for me? And so I just like, you know, as a totally different frame, I was talking to somebody who has cancer in my life, and they were like really concerned. They were like, this has a 95% mortality rate over the next 5 years. And, you know, me being me, I was like, well, you know, 70-year-olds probably have a 60% mortality rate over the next 5 years anyways. I was like, and life has a 100% mortality rate. So, you know, worse, yes, but like how much worse? And so like, they didn't think it was funny, but, but just as a, it was intended to be comforting. It didn't succeed. But all that to say, these things that people cast on us, it just whispers in the wind, right? Like, if we think that our whole meaning is so infinitesimal, the idea that someone else can influence our trajectory when they themselves will disappear and become irrelevant seems so silly to me.
And they don't have our best interest at heart.
No.
They have the opposite of our best interest.
Yeah, they're literally trying to destroy you.
What about the only insults that hurt are the ones we believe? What about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, because I, like other people, get offended with things. And then I've also had times where someone says something with the intention to insult and it doesn't. And I was like, how can I get that to happen every time? And so it's the classic example of, you know, Chris, you have green hair. And then you would say, okay, whatever, sure. But you don't believe it, so it doesn't really matter. And so I think there's kind of a dual-sided like lesson, at least for me in this, is that when we are insulted, I try and pay attention to it, because I think, okay, either there's something here that they're right about and that I don't like about myself, in which case the response is to agree. And that's what's so frightening. And so it's like, if someone, so recently had someone made something blasting me about, I don't go home for the holidays. I made this video about it. And in the first 5 seconds of the video, of course, I'm like, if you love your family, fucking go home. This is for everybody else, right? But of course, no one actually watches that who makes that piece of content. And so they just went on this tirade about me. And I just said, God, I suck, period, as my comment. And because there's no, the stoic response to hate is to agree and one up. So level one is agree. So someone says, Alex, you're a fucking idiot. And you're like, believe me, if you knew half of it, you'd think more than that. Because it's the only way you can respond. And so my mental judo for these things, and I try to, now the good news for you and I is that we get lots of practice, right? Every day we have people hating on us. And so I get to practice. So like people meet you in real life and they're trying to insult you. You're like, dude, I have so many reps on this. Like, I'm good. And so it's just like, can I one up their insult? Like, if someone insults me, it's like, dude, you think that's good. Let me tell you how to really get me, right? And so just the frame of agreement evaporates conflict.
Yeah, that's your thing about most people are more interested in winning than being right.
Yeah.
So you just say, sure.
You're right. Yeah. Alex, you're an idiot. All of your business advice is terrible. I'd be like, you're right.
Now what?
Where do we go from here? Right? Wasn't that fun? And so we talk like, because I like human behavior a lot, but it's a extinguishing event. So like when you pull a slot machine, when null is the outcome, it nullifies. Agreement is the ultimate nullifier for insults. And I think that like if the faster I reprogram that, so it's like if you ever feel insulted, either like first, is it true? Like if you are insulted, you believe them. Okay. Do I believe them because there's an element of truth? If there's an element of truth, why am I insulted? I should agree with them. It's just because we have some ego behind it of like, I'm going to be perceived a certain way.
Or maybe because it's poking a hole, it's wedging into the inauthenticity that someone has brought into the light, something which we thought we were able to keep in private.
One of my other life goals is to die with no secrets.
Why?
Just be, because if we think about, at least for me, if I think about authenticity, to be seen as I truly am, then I would have no secrets. And I try really hard to not hold anything back, content or otherwise, so that I don't want to have 100 faces. Because if you always have something in the back room, then it means that to these people, you're this person and this is in the back room. To these people, you're this person in the back room. But the fewer back rooms I have, the more everyone is in one room and I can be just me. And that means that some people will hate me, and some people will like me, but they will actually like or hate me, not the idea or some facet, like we were saying earlier, like when you're in a relationship, putting on the act and being the performer, they're not hating the idea of me. They actually hate me. And at least there's some weirdness about like, at least that's true.
There's a lesson that I learned from Rob Henderson, which is like an interesting addition to what we're talking about here. And he asked the question, why do we feel insulted, or why do our cheeks flush when somebody accuses us of something that we know that we haven't done? And the issue here is that we don't exist in a vacuum, and we care about other people's interpretations of us.
Yeah.
And the disinformation campaign, even if it's grounded in falsehood, can still negatively impact our status. So even if you know that this isn't true and all of the rest of it, functionally, to everybody that isn't you, or maybe many people that aren't you, or maybe some people who are influential that aren't you, this can have the same impact as if it was true.
Yeah.
So that the man being an island and I have faith in my own word, as soon as you start to build this out, there's a reason for trepidation there.
I think so. I was trying to think about like what are counter examples. So like if someone attacks your character, right? So let's say someone comes out and says Alex did some sort of sexual allegation or something like that I know isn't true, whatever, but they say that. Now that's going to besmirch my reputation, right? Now I can't be like, you're right. And if you really knew, right? You know, like, right? So I can't. If you knew the half of it. So those are the situations, right? So like if someone just says like, you're full of shit or your business advice is bad or whatever, then that's one thing. But in those situations, the only counter that I have seen is to be louder. And so if someone increases the volume on something, I don't believe that you draw attention to that person. I've more or less not been in I'm going to address someone directly, but I may counter what this person says without addressing them and be 10 times bigger and louder about it as a way to counteract that. And so like I had a bad reputation in college, which I've shared some of that in my story before. And the reputation was that I was a philanderer and was, all about girls and whatever. And so I wanted to not have the reputation. And so it wasn't like I was going to go talk to those girls and be like, I need you to recant your story. I had to make my actions so much louder that I was no longer going to be that way for an extended period of time to counteract that thing. And so if we're thinking about like how to respond to people being shitty to you, if you believe what they say and it's true, agree and one up. If what they say is something that isn't true but does besmirch your reputation, then you can only respond by being louder with the truth. And I think that like I think about these things. Obviously, we're in a position where we have to deal with this all the time, as like almost playbooks for dealing with shots.
Well, this is one of the things that people got wrong about Dave Portnoy's cancellation. So
I didn't even know he got canceled.
Dave had sex with maybe two or three girls that sold
Same
a
time?
story. No, separately.
Oh, okay.
Sold a story to the Atlantic, I think. Yeah, pussy number. Sold a story to someone, and they were looking around, and I think they're still going. I'm pretty sure that only a couple of months ago they tried to notify some pizza event that he was doing.
Yeah.
Do you know that we're investigating him about that? And then he called them out. So what's happened is there's been a million Me Too allegation things that have come across. People saw the way that Dave Portnoy responded. He came out of the fences absolutely swinging, swinging so hard, said, this is fucking bollocks, it's baseless. I think he maybe even somehow had video evidence or audio evidence of some kind, maybe internal CCTV cameras. Basically, all of this stuff is dog shit.
Yeah.
People took, Dave Portnoy didn't take any shit, and he didn't back down, and he didn't do an apology, and he didn't do the rest. It's like, yeah, guess why? Because he didn't do it.
Right.
Because he wasn't in the wrong.
Yeah.
If you are the guy that did do the thing, you don't have that. That's a firm foundation.
Right.
What you're doing there is just creating this like cathedral of lies and dog shit on top of a sandcastle of lies and dog shit.
Which will then get found out and you'll get slammed 10 times.
Way harder.
Yeah. Rightfully so, to be fair. You'll get
But
slammed harder.
that's the thing. So learning, okay, why did he do this particular tactic? Well, he ran that play because the basis of where he was at allowed him to.
Loud as shit about the truth.
Alex, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming on. What's next? What can people expect from you next few months?
Well, all my effort is in the Skool Games. So we're, I mean, I can talk about them. I can not talk about them. Yeah. So I just made the biggest investment in my life. I'm now co-owner of Skool.com. It's a platform where you can build what you want to build, learn what you want to learn. And, schools will give you the tools, the community, and the education to help you. And so we've actually created a whole thing where people can start all this stuff for free. Because I believe my whole platform has been education. That's what I believe in. I think the education system is broken, and teachers don't get paid or given the resources to actually teach students. And they're supposed to teach tests that they know don't help students. Students get educated on stuff that doesn't matter in the real world, and they go into mountains of debt for a piece of paper that doesn't make them anything to pay off the debt that they're in for the rest of their lives. And I hate all of it, which is why we started making the content that we do. And so this is one big investment that I'm doing to try and make my small dent towards helping fix that. And I obviously talk about business. That's what I know. Okay. But one person can't do that. Like, I can't change. I mean, I can try, but like, I don't think one person's going to change the world. And so I wanted to invest in a platform that would help other people do that for one another. And so whether it's like, you know how to paint and you want to teach people to paint, you know how to fix Hondas and you want to teach people to do that. Like, there are so many more useful skills that we can trade with one another. And I think Ben Franklin said, there's no more noble a deed than to help another know more, to educate. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And so, I mean, that's what I'm investing my dollars and my time into. And so, that's like my whole next year.